So I'm Tom, Tom Quantrill. I don't know why I said I like James Bond. That was a bit weird, but I work for a company called Ride Store, and I work for the Dope Snow campaign as the community lead. As you know, obviously, I used to work for TUI with yourself, and you bounce around from country to country, and it's a good opportunity to live in loads of different places. So I lived in Italy for a bit, and then France, and I was in Austria when Brexit came and bit, and it was quite easy and quite logical to stay in the country that I was in and apply for residency there. So I decided to do that. I ticked a lot of boxes. I'd already been living here for 2 years at that point, and I really like Austria for a variety of different reasons. So I ended up living in Zalmsee, and yeah, I've been here for the last four years now. So yeah, that's a bit of a talk. That's a bit of a high sell there on myself, as if I'm some kind of expert. Um, you've really oversold us there, but I'll give it my best shot. I've got a lot of opinions. I've got a lot of opinions. That's probably the best way to not knowledge, opinions. Yeah, probably to bed early. I quite like. I do like six till six on the odd occasion. I am known to have a little bit of a party, but yeah, bed early. And if you're gonna have a big day the next day, definitely bed early. I'm gonna repeatedly sound like I'm just gonna say the Dolomites for every single answer for whatever you're gonna ask me here. But one of the reasons why I'm gonna answer the Dolomites for that is the season I was there, we had like a really proactive group who were very like, right guys, get your bags packed, get them all sorted, get everything taken care of, get to bed at 10 o'clock because tomorrow we're gonna get up and we're gonna go on X, Y, and Z adventure. And for anyone who skied in the Dolomites, you can ski up and over mountains and through passes and down through gorges and across here and cover a lot of different ski resorts in one day, and sometimes you've got to really be going at it to get from first lifts over to where you want to be to get all the way back in time. So I kind of enjoyed the expedition element of that. So yeah, definitely the Dolomites to feel like you're going to pack your bag and go on an adventure the next day. The people I met on my first season really kind of set the standard for how I was going to do my seasons, and it was very much like turn up, get your job done for the customers, make sure they have a good time. Like they're just as excited to be out in the mountains as you are, and you can do a good job and get it done efficiently. Get out, have a few beers, enjoy yourself, and then still also get out for first lifts and really make the most of it. So when I was out on season, my first two in the Dolomites, the team that we had were like you never really got absolutely hammered the day before day off because you really wanted to get up and make the most of it. And that really made a massive impact on me. So I know people who've done 3 or 4 seasons in the Dolomites and they haven't seen this place or skied to here or done this because they lay in bed hungover every day off. And I thought, man, you can do that anywhere. And if you meet the right group, yeah, they kind of get you to do a lot more. So you need to be with a proactive group of people, and it really does change the whole way you see a resort better than just seeing the bars every single night. You know what I mean? Or, well, I'll plug my own ski playlist, which is called Cruise City on Spotify by Tom Quantrill. If you want to have a little check that out, it's not like one genre. It's just like absolute dance groove bangers. So there's a really good. I really quite like finding songs and matching them to the pieces. So you kind of like riding the piece to the song. So if you're skiing at a certain pace and just before you come into a certain drop, it matches up with the song. So I really like skiing to Kids by Robbie Williams and Kylie. That's just an absolute ski banger. When you're coming down the mountain to that and you just give it the big licks, it's meant. I think if I don't kind of choose the Dolomites as that answer and look at like a different resort I've worked or lived in, I really have a lot of fond memories of the season I worked in La Rosier. I think purely based on the fact that when I got to France originally, where I met you, I didn't want to be there. I got moved to France forcibly from the Dolomites, and when I first got there, I was like, "Oh man, like I don't want to be in France," which I'll come to probably in one of your later questions. But that's probably one of the reasons why I've got so many good memories there because it actually turned out to be a really good season, and I kind of made the most of it. And yeah, hold it very fondly in my heart. So yeah, probably La Rosier. Oh, bottle service or long arm and beers. Oh shit. I think there's a time and place for both. But you want a good atmosphere, so you're gonna go somewhere where people are chugging down decent priced beers. You know what I mean? If alcohol's expensive in a bar, the whole vibe of the place is killed because everyone's having to like check their pennies and like, oh, how many beers shall I have? And fuck that, man. If you can just get a couple of beers down, you don't have to worry about the price. The atmosphere takes care of itself. Um, Oh shit, yeah, the 2 for 1 at Bergie's in Salbach's off its tits. That's one of the best apres bars you go to. Between three and it's still on the mountain, which is really good. But down like a nice catwalk, so it's like nothing too lethal to ski, but you can stay there till about 6 or 7 p.m. And between 3 and 4, they have this rule where what is it? So basically, if you go up and order like however many drinks you order, like it's basically it's buy one get one free. But when you go up and order, like, say, 4 beers, if I wanted to get buy one, get one free, and I'm going to get 4 beers for my friends, I expect to go up and order 4 beers and pay for two. But instead, what they do is you go up and order 4 beers and they give you eight and you pay for four. So they make you pay for what you order. So it confuses a lot of people. So then when you're ordering drinks, there's often enough because you've only got an hour, the tables are like loaded with just like rum and cokes and vodka and shots, and people are just knocking these back, and then everyone just goes on a bit of a magical ski down the cat track down to the next bar, and it's fucking hilarious. It's absolute carnage. So definitely shout out to that bar in Salbach. I think that's the best apres bar I've been to. Yeah, DJ. Yeah, nobody loves the Europop trash. Anyway, that's like essentially got a large ski area, really. And obviously, if you're going to go to a place like the Three Valleys and stuff in France, you ski over there. You've got terrain for absolutely everyone. I know the Dolomites has got a pretty much a little bit for everyone. Um, Zell here. It's I'll say like this the actual ski resort of Zell doesn't have like a ton for more advanced skiers, but as a base, you've got like Saalbach just up the road, you've got the glacier just over there, you've got like nice nursery slopes. So there is a lot of variety just in and around here. And then also because it's a mountain town with a lake and a spa and a sauna, there's like a good variety of stuff. There's a rodel barn, there's a whole ton of stuff you can do here. So I think here's like a nice all rounder. It's one of the reasons why I've actually chose to live here. I think generally speaking, out of the three countries that the main countries that I've skied, like France, Italy, and Austria, I used to be more inclined to say Austria, but I think given the quality of the food in Italy and the infrastructure in place like the Dolomites, I think that's probably better value for money. Like it's probably a little bit more expensive than in Austria, but I think you get more value for money. It's like the quality of Switzerland. Rodelbahn by far. It's the sledging, the like do you know kind of the old school sledges where it's almost like just like two metal tracks and then you have like a little wooden slab on top or some like kind of rotten on top to almost sit on with the rope. Yeah, proper toboggan, and it's so good. It's lethal. It's probably I think it's more dangerous than skiing or snowboarding. When you're going down, you pick up some crazy pace. It's there's a one here that you go up, everybody goes for a meal, you drink copious amounts of alcohol, and then you come down and they've got a floodlit track all the way down. But the drops off the side are absolutely nuts. There's no barriers. You've just got to really like it's like Mario Kart on crack. I don't know. In terms of like really famous ones, obviously there's ones that you can Google like the Harry Kiri and stuff. But I think some of the personal ones that I think have been absolutely lethal. Um, this is two crazy blacks. I can't remember what they're called. One of them's named after this Italian Olympian in La Tuile, and they're absolutely monster. And the reason why I think they're so much worse than the Harikiri is the gradient's not as steep, but it's never in the sun, so it's like this massive sheet of ice. And yeah, I think it's like 37, black 37 or something in La Tuile. You have to check it up, but that's a lethal run. That or the Jerry Alley, which is the rundown from the Panorama Bar in Les Deux Alpes after like a festival, so everyone gets absolutely hammered. They've got it's like staff there in jackets called Snow Angels who are like there to stop people who are too drunk to get on the skis, or like maybe just to stop people. And you go down this like really easy run. It's a blue. like a super easy cat track, but it's absolute fucking carnage. Um, that's pretty difficult to navigate. Depends what the weather's like. If you're going hell for leather and you want to just get as much skiing done as possible, eating a sandwich on the lift or finding somewhere to just sit and chill out and have a smoke and a sandwich is quite nice. But sitting on the terrace and drinking an Aperol spritz and putting your feet up and in front of the mountains and feeling like an absolute pimp is, you can't beat that. There's a time and a place for both. One thing I'd save on. Um, this is probably an unpopular opinion if you're a girl, because girls obviously should invest in good gloves. But I always go quite cheap on my gloves. I have a lot of female friends who always have really cold hands and can't believe that. Sometimes I'm skiing in like a pair of gardening gloves. I recently started wearing actual gloves because of my job. But even still, then I usually just wear like the inliners, because I just don't like wearing big heavy gloves and make my hands too sweaty. So yeah, I cheap out on gloves. Um, I don't know, really, probably goggles. Goggles are a good one. Um, I think goggles are always a good call. I think you could. I've had some cheap Amazon ones before, and although they do the job, we don't realize how much of a difference it makes to your confidence when you're skiing in low light when you've got like the right ones. So yeah, spend some money on some goggles. You can get a decent pair for about 200 quid, and I think if you buy them and you look after them, they'll pay for themselves after 2 seasons, really. Waking up at like seven, half seven, and it's been snowing all night, and it's still snowing. So you're looking outside, and the snow's still falling. You're like, oh shit, it's gonna be a whiteout all day, and like it's really, really snowy, but that perfect kind of snow that's not wet and it's just fluffy. And when you go outside, it's like crunching under your feet, and you walk into the lift, and it's really quiet because it's January and there's no tourists. And you get to the lift, and there's no queue, and you get on. And as you go up the lift, like you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be really snowy today. The visibility's gonna be shit. You go up through the clouds, and it's like blue skies at the top, and you're like, oh, this is fucking insane. And then you get off the lift, and then the lift jams, and the lifty's like, oh man, the lift's stuck and no one else can come up, and you're like, oh man, that's so good. And then you walk off to the top of this perfectly fresh groomed piece that's got like 2 or 3 inches of fresh powder on, so you can just absolutely send it down this fresh powder, knowing that you've got the lovely corduroy just giving you a little kick back on the leaf, and you just put an absolute banger of a tune on and just send it down. um, then you meet everyone else, you tell them how good the first run was, and you tell everyone that you were up for first lift and they weren't, and how fucking insane it was, and you rub it in. Then you post a video on Instagram, make sure everyone knows that you were up for first lifts. Um, and then, yeah, you smash out like a really good morning with your mates from like 9 o'clock till half 12, 1 o'clock. And then maybe go for a bit of some lunch in a nice restaurant at maybe half one. And then this when you get a little bit boozy and you're sitting in the sunshine and you're just kind of getting a little bit loose, and that kind of feeling you get when you're like 2 pints in and your skin just feels nice and you're like, oh, this is fucking lovely. And then, yeah, you kind of end up staying there a little bit longer than you thought you were going to. And then you kind of come out of there about half 3, 4 o'clock, and everyone's skiing down with like the sun setting because it's January and that's the perfect time to come down off the mountain. You come down, everyone's like, oh, you're going to come to Appray? And you're like, nah. And then you go home and you lie on the sofa and eat Haribo and watch Malcolm in the Middle. I'm always going to say Selva in the Dolomites. Selva Vargodina is just really, really beautiful, really, really good infrastructure, really good pistes, really well groomed, insane food, good value for money, un- unbeatable views. It's just number one. Second one, I really liked Saint Foy in France. It's like a little powder bucket next to Val d'Isere that normally it's gotten a bit busier recently, but when I was there in 2016, um, it was really quiet and it was really nice when you went there. There was only like a handful of lifts, and it's one of those places that's like a little bit of a hidden treasure. There's not much nightlife, but if you really kind of like a little small resort and something that's just a little bit peaceful, I'd definitely go to Saint Foy in France. And then third one, I have to say, oh, Bad Gastein. Bad Gastein in Austria is absolutely banging. That's just that if you like just good nightlife and a really interesting resort that's like built kind of on the side of the mountain, and the way that it's laid out, it's just really unique. That's really, really sick. And it's got quite like a young, vibrant crowd there, which I think is quite cool. But the runs there are just like absolute red bangers where you just roller after roller. Really, really long lifts up, but then really lovely long runs down. And there's some really nice off piste there as well. So yeah, I'd say Bad Gastein, Saint Foy, and Selva is three resorts I'd recommend. I quite like the idea of like skiing like strange places. So I know obviously there's like resorts that are like flagship resorts or places that you should really go and ski. Like places like Alaska and stuff would be really sick. But I also like quite like the idea of like skiing in Georgia in Europe, or you can also go skiing in Macedonia. I was speaking to a guy a couple of weeks ago who went heli skiing in Macedonia, and the videos he was putting up were just absolutely nuts. And it's a lot cheaper to go heli skiing there. There's a lot of obviously countries in Europe that you can't do heli skiing. Um, and over there, obviously, there's the laws aren't the same. So yeah, maybe heli skiing in Macedonia would be my one on my bucket list. The communities, I think that's something that I've really learned to love. Um, the size of a ski resort is often like a nice, manageable size where people feel accountable and part of the town and the kind of society that they're living in. So I think I've never lived in a ski resort with much litter or really too much graffiti or any horrific antisocial behavior. Yeah, the community that you get, everybody kind of helping each other out, the variety of different backgrounds that people come from, the diversity of the different people that make up the bar staff, the seasonaires, the ski instructors, the people who have ended up in this town because they don't even really know how. I think that's a nice thing. It's a nice melting pot. It's it's hard because you want to say something like really inspirational and be like, yeah, just go and do it or something. But like with Brexit, I'm obviously very that's a bit of a ball ache. So it's hard. Probably the bottom line with it is if you want to kind of get out and live in the mountains and live that lifestyle, it is still possible. There's a lot more obstacles in the way, but it is definitely still something that you can do. And I'll say the payoff is definitely worth it. So just commit to it. If there's some way that you can do it, you can apply for a visa, or you can find some way to do it in maybe a country that you don't necessarily need to have a visa for, or find some alternative way. Just go out and do it because I think it's a really great opportunity. If you meet the right people, it'll completely change the direction of your life. Um, yeah, that's probably my best recommendation. Don't create a vision in your mind of exactly how the holiday is going to be, and if it doesn't go exactly how that's planned, then the holiday is a failure or how else that may be. I think you've got to really look forward to the facts of what's going to be there. So instead of being like, I'm looking forward to the blue skies, you can't guarantee that. You're looking forward to being on top of a fucking mountain in Austria and like skiing down a run or having a beer in a certain bar. Like I think really focus on those little things that you can really enjoy, and the week will take care of itself. The guests who always had the nicest holidays were the people who turned up with the most open mind and were just like, hey, like whatever the week throws at us, I'm going to roll with it. And you even saw when they were recounting previous holidays, some of the best stories they were telling you were like the fuck ups from the previous holiday when like Bill lost his key or like the hotel was completely shit or someone got shit faced and lost their skis. Like those are like the best moments of the holiday. So like roll with it and kind of soak that in.